Imagine a kingdom torn apart from within, a time when the very throne was occupied by someone who wasn't even supposed to be there, a man who claimed to be the rightful heir to the throne using nothing but lies and deceit. This is the story of False Dmitry I, the man who almost brought down the mighty Russian Empire. But who was this mysterious figure, and how did he manage to fool a whole nation? Russia, in the early 17th century, was in a state of chaos. The powerful Tsar dynasty had just fallen, and the throne was left vulnerable. After the death of Tsar Fyodor I in 1598, there was no clear heir. The country was plunged into political and social turmoil, and soon, rumors started spreading about a young prince who had survived an assassination attempt years earlier. False Dmitry I appeared out of nowhere, claiming to be Dmitry Ivanovich, the son of Ivan the Terrible. He was said to have escaped the murder that wiped out his family, and with no one to stop him, he made a bold move to claim the Russian throne. But could a man with no real claim to the throne really become Tsar of Russia? This video will explore how False Dmitry I, with his charm, cunning, and a bit of luck, almost ruined the Russian Empire. Russia in the late 16th century was an empire under great stress. The death of Tsar Fyodor I, the last of the Rurik dynasty, left Russia without a clear successor. Fyodor's only heir, a mentally unstable prince, had died before him. This left a vacuum of power, and the resulting confusion was a fertile ground for pretenders. Following Fyodor's death, the country saw a succession of rulers, including Boris Godunov, who took the throne despite not being a member of the royal family. His reign was marked by a series of natural disasters, famine, and political unrest. Godunov's reign ended in 1605 with his mysterious death, and Russia was left with no strong leadership. At its height, Russia was a vast and powerful empire. It controlled a huge territory, stretching from Eastern Europe to Siberia, with great economic and military power. However, this power was threatened by internal divisions. The ruling elite, known as the boyars, were fragmented, and many nobles sought to control the throne for themselves. The Russian Orthodox Church, which had considerable influence over the masses, was also a crucial player in this period. Any claim to the throne that could win its support could potentially gain the loyalty of the people. This made it possible for a pretender, like False Dmitry I, to manipulate and exploit the situation to his advantage. False Dmitry I claimed to be Dmitry Ivanovich, the youngest son of Ivan the Terrible. Dmitry, the real son, was believed to have died in 1591 under suspicious circumstances. Most historians believe he was murdered by order of his uncle, Boris Godunov, in order to secure the throne for himself. However, in 1605, a man appeared in the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, claiming to be the missing prince. This individual, often referred to as False Dmitry, was likely a common man who had been trained to impersonate the real Dmitry. His origins remain a mystery, but some sources suggest he was either a former monk or a peasant. False Dmitry gained early support through his charisma and cunning. He convinced many that he was the true Tsar by using the well-known story of Dmitry's alleged survival. He even presented a testimony from the Polish king, who purportedly recognized him as the legitimate heir. His appearance and mannerisms were carefully crafted to resemble those of the real Dmitry. He wore fine clothing and lived a lifestyle that matched the expected behavior of royalty. He claimed to have escaped assassination and was now seeking to reclaim his birthright. False Dmitry made strategic alliances, notably with the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, who saw an opportunity to destabilize Russia by backing his claim. With their help, he managed to assemble a small army and march into Russia. The Tsar's death had already left the throne in a fragile state, and the boyars were divided. The timing was perfect. He quickly gathered support from both commoners and disaffected nobles, promising reform and better conditions. Within months, False Dmitry entered Moscow and was crowned Tsar in 1605. His arrival was met with enthusiasm by many, but it also began a series of power struggles that would tear the empire apart. False Dmitry's rise quickly caused divisions among the boyars, military, and the general population. Many nobles were initially wary of the pretender, but some believed he could be useful in advancing their own positions. As a result, factions formed within the court. Some supported Dmitry's claim and saw him as a legitimate ruler, while others viewed him as a fraud and worked to undermine his reign. The military was equally divided. While some generals and soldiers rallied to his side, others remained loyal to the late Boris Godunov's family. This split created instability, with powerful factions vying for control over Russia's future. False Dmitry's reign was marked by several unpopular decisions. He attempted to introduce Catholicism to Russia, alienating many in the Orthodox Church. His foreign alliances, particularly with the Polish, caused widespread dissatisfaction. Many Russians viewed the involvement of a Catholic foreign power as an affront to their traditions and sovereignty. As Dmitry's reign dragged on, loyalty among his supporters began to falter. The boyars grew more resentful of his rule, while the peasants, who had initially rallied behind him, began to see the extent of the chaos his rule was causing. The empire's internal struggles culminated in an attempted coup in 1606. Several powerful figures, including loyalists to the previous Tsar, Boris Godunov, plotted against False Dmitry. The conspiracy resulted in Dmitry's downfall, and in May 1606, he was assassinated. The events of his reign plunged Russia into further chaos, with his death marking the beginning of the Time of Troubles, a period of political instability, famine, and foreign invasion that lasted until the establishment of the Romanov dynasty in 1613. The rise and fall of False Dmitry severely damaged the Russian people's trust in their leadership. The appearance of a fake king in the first place shattered the idea of a stable, legitimate monarchy. It was a reminder that the throne could be taken by anyone who was able to manipulate the system, rather than someone who was born into power. Many Russians began to question the legitimacy of their rulers and the institutions that had once seemed invincible. This social unrest had long-lasting consequences, as it laid the groundwork for a mistrust of the aristocracy and the ruling class for generations. The Orthodox Church, which had long been a stabilizing force in Russian culture, found itself torn between supporting False Dmitry or rejecting him as a false king. Dmitry's attempts to introduce Catholicism and reforms that favored foreign influence angered the religious establishment. This cultural rift deepened the divisions within the empire. The false king's reign also disrupted the social fabric of Russia. His policies caused economic hardships for the common people, leading to widespread discontent. As False Dmitry failed to bring stability, the Russian population began to lose faith in the idea of a central, strong monarchy. False Dmitry's reign was marked by manipulation, corruption, and a disregard for Russia's traditional systems. His reliance on foreign powers for support weakened the nation's sovereignty. His use of power for personal gain and his disregard for the needs of the people created a system where the elites benefited while the commoners suffered. The political instability caused by False Dmitry's rise weakened Russia's defenses. Neighboring powers, such as Poland and Sweden, took advantage of the chaos and moved to expand their territories at Russia's expense. Foreign diplomacy was disrupted as Russia's alliances were torn apart. The Polish, who had initially supported Dmitry's claim, soon realized they had backed the wrong horse. They began to shift their loyalties, contributing to Russia's weakened position on the international stage. False Dmitry's reign ended with a series of military failures. As his forces faced internal division and external threats, his rule became untenable. Russia's military, once a powerful force, faltered under his leadership, which contributed to his eventual downfall. The truth about Dmitry's identity came out slowly, and as more people began to doubt his legitimacy, the support for him dwindled. The final blow came when Dmitry was assassinated by a faction of boyars and military leaders. Dmitry's death did not restore order. Instead, it left the empire in disarray, leading to a prolonged period of instability and war known as the Time of Troubles. Despite his brief reign, False Dmitry left a lasting impact on Russia. The illusion of legitimate rule and the political chaos that followed his death created a power vacuum that led to foreign invasions, internal strife, and ultimately the Romanov dynasty's rise. The rise of False Dmitry serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of political instability and the consequences of a lack of legitimate leadership. The Russian Empire's experience highlights how vulnerable a nation can be when succession is unclear and when power is seized through deception. False Dmitry's story offers valuable lessons for modern societies. It underscores the importance of strong institutions, transparency in leadership, and the need for clear lines of succession to prevent the rise of false claims to power. False Dmitry I's rise and fall was one of the most dramatic chapters in Russian history. His claim to the throne was built on deception, exploiting the political chaos of the time. Supported by foreign powers and skilled in manipulation, he fooled many into believing he was the rightful heir to the Russian throne. For a brief period, he managed to gain control of the empire, only for his reign to unravel due to internal divisions, cultural clashes, and growing distrust from the people. His assassination and the ensuing chaos led to the infamous Time of Troubles, a period marked by famine, civil unrest, and foreign invasions. Though False Dmitry I's reign was short-lived, it left a lasting impact on Russia. It exposed the vulnerability of a monarchy that lacked clear lines of succession, and emphasized the risks of allowing power to be seized by false claims. His story also highlighted the role of foreign powers in Russian politics, as his backing by the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth only complicated the political landscape and further destabilized the empire. The rise of a fake king who could nearly topple an entire empire serves as a powerful reminder of the dangers of instability and the importance of legitimacy in leadership. False Dmitry's deception and its aftermath would influence Russian politics for years, eventually leading to the establishment of the Romanov dynasty in 1613, which sought to restore stability and order to the nation. The story of False Dmitry is not just a tale of political intrigue and betrayal, but a lesson in the importance of political legitimacy and the perils of power struggles. If you found this story fascinating, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Infinitia Verity for more historical deep dives like this one. And if you have any thoughts on False Dmitry or other historical figures who shaped the course of empires, leave a comment below, let's discuss it. This video has explored the rise of a fake king who almost ruined an empire, showing how false claims to power can destabilize entire nations. By delving into the history of False Dmitry I, we've uncovered lessons that continue to resonate in political and historical contexts today. Stay tuned for more intriguing historical narratives, only on Infinitia Verity.